Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big surprise for me, but sure is sure I've written something. Because my English is not so good and I cannot improvise. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for the jury, and my thank to you, to the reader. And I give my thanks to school teacher József Banner, my beloved instructor of ancient Greek and Latin, who is no longer among the ranks of the living, because the doctor's error on the operating table meant that he had to die. I give my thanks to Uncle Kerekes, sexton and cobbler of the Romanian Orthodox Church in Gyula, who is no longer among the ranks of the living, as the precise time of his death had come. I give my thanks to my friend József Pálnik, who told me on the second stair of the water slide in 1960 that babies are made, and under the grievous weight of this revelation, I wanted to die. I give my thanks to Franz Kafka, whose novel, Der Schloss, I read when I was 12 years old, so that I would be accepted in the circle of my brother, 6 years older than me, and so I believe my fate was sealed. I give my thanks to Laci Herceg, friend of my youth, whose elegant beauty in no way betrayed anything of how he would become, in old age, a quiet supporter of the Hungarian version of racial theory. To Kálmán Gábor, friend of my youth, no longer among the ranks of the living, who loved me up until the moment he died and whose love I could not return. To Ernő Szabó and Imre Simonyi, unknown poets of Gyula, my birthplace, whom I have always admired and who bore this admiration of mine in a manner worthy of a man. To Péter Hajnóci, the most staggering among Hungarian short story writers, who succumbed in his struggle with his phantasms and thus is no longer among the ranks of the living. I give my thanks to the artists of classical Greece, to the Italian Renaissance, to János Pilinszky, the mystical Hungarian writer, poet, whom I met personally but once, yet this I shall never forget. To my first wife, who knew from somewhere exactly what it means to write badly. To Attila József, the Hungarian poet, who showed me the magical power of words. To Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky. To my older brother, who often brought me home on his shoulder from kindergarten, because of which I became infinitely grateful to him, as he showed me that there could be another way of looking at the world, not just that which is given. To Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, Bob Dylan, the Illés Ensemble, David Bowie, Mihály Víg, Nick Cave, Alec Hölgyes, Karen Dalton, Hamilton Lighthouser, Thelonious Monk, and Henry Grimes. To my American and English and German publishers, first and foremost, Mrs. Barbara Epler and Peter Strauss and Hans-Jürgen Balmes. To my second wife for her infinite devotion, to William Faulkner, to the city of Kyoto, to Thomas Pynchon, friend of sudden attachment, to whom I owe such deep gratitude, to Johann Sebastian Bach, to Miklós Mészöly, the writer who is no longer among the ranks of the living, as the time of his death had come, to the voices of Agnes Balca, Natalie Dessay, Jennifer Larmore, and Emma Kirkby, to the Greek scholars of literature, László Szörényi and James Wood, to Allen Ginsberg, the friend who is no longer among the ranks of the living because the time of his death had come. to the literary and poets of Imperial China, to my translators, Ottilie Mulzet and George Sirtes, with grateful affection, to Max Sebald, the marvelous writer and friend, who is no longer among the ranks of the living, as he gazed for too long at one single blade of grass in the meadow. To my mother, who is no longer among the ranks of the living, as the precise time of her death had come. To the last wolf in Extremadura. To Daniel Bergeny, the unknown Hungarian poet of genius from the 19th century. To nature, which was created, to Prince Siddhartha, to the Hungarian language, to God.